Oh yes, so through the gate and turn left, I think.
Is this rock that's all fallen from up there?
Yeah, you can see it's not chalk. It's the greenstone that occurs next to the chalk geologically. Still age of the dinosaurs.
Quite brittle though, isn't it?
It is quite brittle. Lattice workers.
Hmm.
Good idea. I'll just roll my scruffy old gardening jacket.
This place of the holy man. Hey, my love. To the ancestors.
To the ancestors.
To the ancestors.
Blessings. Mother Earth.
So here we are. We're in the Holy Man's Cave, just south of Devizes, and I'm here with Peter Knight and Sue Wallace-Knight, and we've just done a little bit of drumming. So your website's stoneseeker.net, and you've published 15 books now, is it? 15 books,
have,
yeah, which is oh, brilliant. And so yeah, your latest. What is your latest book? Oh, I have got it.
Landscapes of Memory.
Oh, Landscapes of Memory. There you go. Yeah, I see it. It's on my list. And yeah, you also do a convention of alternative archaeology. Last one was in Compton, Dundon, wasn't it? Down there, Glastonbury. So I'm interested in your idea about the kind of change from the hunter-gathering type of way to farming. So I think they call it the Neolithic Revolution, didn't they? Which kind of came a little bit late, didn't it, in Britain? So it started around kind of Turkey way, didn't it? And then there's a land bridge back then as well, wasn't there? And it kind of spread across. So it's this idea of we're going from this tighter connection to the spirit of the land over into this more kind of analytical. I'm conflating the two, so obviously we're sort of farming, but I'm kind of thinking of also this kind of analytical way of thinking, which probably came with farming. I don't know, do you think the two are comparable? Do you think they?
I think people still had a close connection to the land during the Neolithic. You can tell that from the cosmos, from the alignments and the landscape situation of Neolithic sites.
Yeah.
And nobody admires the Neolithic people, you know, more than I. But something changed. Before the hunter-gatherers were going around the land, they were following the herds. They were foraging. They were going, you know, south in the winter and north during the summer. But of course, once you've for farming, you're in one place all the time, and that's why you've got the time and the impetus to build megalithic sites. But I think it led to a change, definitely. From the time farming arrived, and the more you get more into recent times, nature isn't something so much you worked with, so much as that you had to control. You have to control.
So it fundamentally changed the relationship we had.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, hunter-gathering was still going on during the Neolithic, but once you start farming, you're almost in a competition with nature to a certain extent.
I understand.
And, you know, you're not living such a symbiotic relationship. You know, the hunter-gatherers, why we admire them, and the Mesolithic people, is that they only took what they needed. And the more you come recent into time, especially into historical periods, and the population rise, then that can never happen again. You have to take what's needed, you know, for everybody. And with population rise, that has to be the subjugation of nature. So although a lot of people see the Neolithic as like the culmination of these vast civilizations and all this, environmentally, it's actually the thin end of the wedge.
Yes.
You know, if you want to know how to live with nature, look at the hunter-gatherer people of today.
Because the farming, they introduced probably mostly grain to make breads of some kind. And of course, we shouldn't really be living on bread. We should be living on the fruits of the earth.
It's interesting you say that, because I've just found I'm gluten intolerant. So
That goes back to our ancient genetic makeup.
We
shouldn't really be eating
grains. That's interesting. Yeah.
Or not in the quantity that we do.
And beers as well, which is unfortunate, but there you go.
And of course, the health of the people deteriorated.
Yes.
Because of that.
Yeah,
because
I can see
they weren't
that.
getting all the right necessary fruits and berries and nuts and things that they would have when they were hunter-gatherers.
I see. So,
rheumatoid arthritis and all other arthritic and bone diseases seem to start coming in with farming, you know, because people are bent over, you know, tilling the land and everything. That's not a good thing. And of course, they're not running they're not chasing mammoths and deer so much anymore,
yeah.
which keeps them. They're developing livestock.
Not quite the
to get
amount of
their meat.
exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, we in our latest book we look at hunter-gatherer societies and how they can guide us. We look back to the Ice Age cave paintings, but we also look at how they're a good example to us today in the West.
I'm reminded of the First Nation people in the States who obviously followed the herds, and their life was actually based around following. Yeah,
and of course, the more you come through to modern times, into the Greeks and the Romans, the gods are now external. They're up in the sky somewhere. We personify them.
Yeah.
Whereas religion, I won't even call it religion, spirituality, I think, was a lot simpler. If you go back to the Ice Age and the Mesolithic times, the earth is all you need. The earth is the deity.
I think as it should be.
You're not looking at some external being in the sky. And I think that means you've got a one-on-one with your deity instead of going through a priest or a temple.
Yeah, that makes sense. So would you say it's almost Gaia as the goddess, yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
It has been argued that there was no concept of external deity in the Ice Age times, because they saw themselves as totally connected with the land. They were part of what we call Gaia. So therefore, how can you have any concept of something external from you, because you are part of nature?
Simplicity is always the goal, isn't it? So simple is best.
Simple is best,
yeah, that's interesting. That because the things I've been looking at are things like sort of working with flow states and working with synchronicity, and it seems to be almost a shortcut. So the kind of analytical, intellectual is more of a tool. I think it's a tool that we've kind of let become our master. And would you say that transition to the kind of intellectual, analytical thing came with farming? Is that
possibly?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
I think it is. Well, you need a brain. You need to use your brain to build Stonehenge and Avebury and all that sort of thing. You need to be a planner, and you need the brain for that.
Yeah.
So, when you're farming, you're constantly planning ahead. Whereas with the hunter-gatherer, like people have studied the lions of today, you eat, you catch one bit of a deer or something in the morning and collect a few berries, and the rest of the day you can take it easy.
And in the moment.
There was more free time in the Mesolithic than people today.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Doesn't that say something?
Yeah, we've become more and more separated, haven't we, almost from the...
The more you get into technology, the more it's running your life, and the less free time you have.
That's what I'm pointing at you right now,
The rite of passage used to be going down in a cave, or I don't know, killing a mammoth on the steppe, or spending a week up one of Dartmoor's tours. If you came down, you'd passed your initiation. But I think that mankind's present rite of passage is getting us through technology. I actually see technology as our latest rite of passage. Will we get through it? I really see that. That's not to say there aren't lots of wonderful things about technology. Of course there is. We all use technology every day.
It's balance, isn't it?
But it's...
Don't let it rule your life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I've kind of come to this little smartphone I've got here. I didn't have a smartphone 3 years ago, so I sort of came to it grudgingly really late, and I'm not too sort of dopamine addicted. I'm not too sort of looking at the blue screen all the time. But
You've still
got a Neolithic phone, haven't you?
I've still got a Neolithic
and
phone.
I'm up to the Bronze Age now.
You're right.
Yeah, I had a little flip phone, and you had to text with touching all the number keys all the time.
We just use laptops at home. I can get anywhere I want in the world. We Google and all that sort of thing. And technology is great when you're researching a book. You don't have to go all over the country and sit in dusty libraries anymore. It's all on your fingertips. So a lot of technology is wonderful, especially if you're researching. But I like a laptop. I put the laptop lid down, and that's it. I'm out of technology until I choose to be in it again.
That's right. Yeah, you remain the master of it. So I think that's it. It's a kind of intuitive angle. The intuitive comes first, and then intellect, technology. That kind of pyramid as a sort of as a servant almost. And I think that's the way forward. So. Yeah, we shouldn't throw it out. It's a case of just put it in its right place, I think. And that's interesting. So I mean, obviously what we're doing and what a lot of people are doing now is kind of almost this recovering of this ancient way of looking at things, and it's always sort of sat in the background, isn't it? And now it seems to be there's a quiet resurgence almost, isn't there, of it?
I think there has to be.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
There has to be, because
Yeah.
I don't know, are we preppers? We could be to a certain extent. But, I mean, wherever you look now, society, wherever you look, the supermarkets, the food chain, the energy, everything is on the brink.
It's
Potholes.
so
There isn't any part
vulnerable.
of society you can see that's easily managing things.
Yeah.
Everything's like, you know, such on an edge, and you know, that can't happen.
It's the little other things as well. I mean, you don't get wars, do you? Somebody remarked on the internet yesterday, I think I was looking, there's no cave paintings of war situations.
No,
which is interesting, isn't
There
it?
isn't a single cave painting that I know of human conflict.
So,
That all comes in later on.
yeah, so it's all part of
Well, look at the causes of religion today. You know, although a lot of it's land grab, a lot of resources, a lot of it's about religion. A lot of the world's wars still have religion, and of course, in the past we all had the same spirituality, so there doesn't be a lot to fight about, really.
No.
As soon as you start building megalithic sites, that's land ownership comes in.
Yeah.
So you know, what's over there, I want, sort of thing.
And growing crops. You know, that's my land. That's my
Oh,
potential food.
yeah. So it's that kind of the fear creeps in, doesn't it?
What people would end up fighting over.
Yeah.
Land and food resources.
That's interesting, isn't
Which
it?
may well return. Who knows?
Yeah. It's a ride, isn't it? It really is a ride.
It is a ride. It's an initiation. Mankind's latest initiation. We've had the initiation by ice, which we came through. Just. And, but the Neanderthals didn't quite make it, but that was due to modern humans coming in with them. But so I think this is mankind's latest initiation.
So is this sort of how you think maybe the historians of the far future will look at this?
Oh yeah, this will be known as the age of. We had the Bronze Age and the Neolithic Age. I think this will be known as the age of technology. What comes afterwards? Is the question.
It's interesting times.
Very.
Yeah.
So the Earth will have the last laugh. We've been saying that for years. As environmentalists, we've known for years we're not fighting to save the planet. We're fighting to see whether mankind's going to be around. You know, I don't have any worry about the Earth surviving. She'll survive and carry on. We've had loads of mass extinctions in the past, and we'll probably have them in the future. But the Earth just shrugs her shoulders and gets on with it. So we're not fighting to save the Earth. We're fighting to see whether mankind is going to survive in some form. But I think it will.
I think so. I'm quite optimistic.
But not in the form, not in the way our practices are now.
No.
Oh no.
Because that's unsustainable.
Can't carry on like this.
It's a fundamental disconnect, isn't it? It's the love of money, the love of stuff, and and we've
Don't get me started on politics.
oh no.
Have you got any listeners in the US? Let's not even go there.
Yeah. It's a rock and a hard place, isn't it? It's it's an interesting times, and
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, I like that viewpoint.
Well, because with a rite of passage, you get through any rite of passage, whether it's spending night in a tomb on your own or going down in a cave to do your art. It requires you going through something, through some trial, through some tribulation. And that's exactly what we're going through now.
Yeah, we get all the little miniature ones in life as well, don't you? I mean, I think
survival has to be earned, or else your rite of passage has to be tough, or else what's the point of it? And this is tough at the moment. Yeah,
it's precipitating internal change, isn't it? And I've certainly found that with some of the events in my own life. You know, you kind of it's almost like some part of you is doing it. This is what interests me, is some part of you is going, you can't keep going round in this little loop anymore. It's time to and there's a kind of, I've heard the phrase used before, there's a kind of soul-nourishing recklessness to it, of just picking up the spanner and throwing it into the machine and watching the whole thing grind to a halt.
That's the initiation, you know. People pick up Louise Hay and get into positive thinking, and they wonder why somebody runs into the back of their car, because when you enter a path of self-change, it's an initiation, and you're meant to bring all that stuff up to be healed. So you know, if you think your life's going to be cured short term, you're in for a shock, and that's when a lot of people drop it. But it's a rite of passage, and you've got all that stuff from not this life, but many lifetimes in the past to sort through and process. So, but I find it exciting.
It is. There's a lovely. It brings to mind now the ayahuasca retreats in Peru, and there's a lovely little vid. I think it's called Vine of the Soul. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a film. It's 3 people with various interesting life challenges and that they're going through, go to Peru, and they take the sacred plant medicine, and it's very interesting that the one person who had the hardest time with it came out the most transformed. So she had a really, really difficult, almost nightmarish experience, and the shaman came over and did some chanting and blowing the tobacco smoke and cleansing, and she had the biggest change.
Like change. Our brain doesn't want change. I mean, the default of your brain is to keep your body safe, and anything weird and wacky that comes along, the brain says, "Oh, hang on, what are you doing here? How can I keep you safe if you're doing this and doing that?" But you've got to override your best friend sometimes.
I think you're right. You're speaking to a former risk-averse person. So and maybe you need to contrast. Sometimes maybe you incarnate into this world with these challenges, because it's the act of actually working through them, which is a better lesson than if you came in already knowing it. If you see what I mean. So
we need the brain. It's a useful tool.
Oh yeah.
It's, they were very spiritual in the Ice Age. Very spiritual, but you wouldn't stand in front of a charging herd of mammoths saying.
Oh no.
So you need your brain to keep you safe.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes you've got to go beyond the comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
Because we have a saying, if you go beyond your comfort zone, that's often where the magic lies.
Oh, definitely.
Because you're pushing yourself to where you haven't been before, and that's often somewhere a bit scary. And your brain doesn't like scary, but you have to push beyond it.
It's in those zones that you find the new things, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, so
safe and cozy, in my experience, very, very rarely does deep self-change.
Yeah, really down with that. I like that idea.
And there are a lot of people going through a lot of challenges in the world today, and it is life-changing. But it's a struggle as well. It's no rider in the park. It's tough.
It's a kind of crucible, isn't it? We sort of sit in the crucible, and
that's where the alchemy happens.
The alchemy, yeah. I was going to say,
the Grail.
It's all
Grail. Find the Grail inside yourself. That's where it's sitting.
That's
where it's sitting.
Reminds me of some of Tanishka's stuff. I don't know whether you've come across her. He talks about the Grail and the initiation, and there's a big thing now about men don't have this kind of rite of passage, or young boys don't have this rite of passage, which leads to all sorts of tensions later in life. And
it's the men we've got to change in the world. The women are getting on board, but it's men who still run all the world's religions, most of the companies, all the governments. The world is still very much run by men, and it's men we've got to get on board, or else it's not going to happen, because the women are already there. The women have naturally got their connection with Mother Earth.
Oh yeah.
When you've got a womb, you've got that deeper connection with the Earth Mother.
Yeah.
And but us men, we've been taught for the last 3,000 years to be warriors.
Yeah.
And to fight, not to think, just do. And strength has been everything. Fight has been might and all that sort of thing.
But it all comes from that kind of separation again, doesn't it?
I'm not saying we've got to be emasculated, because that would be just as bad going the other way. We've got to have that balance. What teaches us more than anything from Mother Earth is Mother Earth does balance. That's her job description. So we've had 2,000 years of patriarchy, but we don't want 2,000 years of matriarchy, because that would still be an imbalance. We want that perfect yin-yang
sacred masculine and sacred
masculine and
feminine. Yeah.
Because when we look around in nature, we see just as much masculine as we do feminine, because you have to for nature to happen.
Yeah.
So, but in the ancient times, the goddess was seen as having yin and yang, and we need to get back to that again.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my opinion. Yeah.
Oh no, I agree. Yeah, yeah.
So men today must learn to make their decisions by their heart, not their brain.
I think I've seen it. I mean, in the time I've been on this planet, I've seen a transition from this kind of out of balance masculinity, of this whole sort of shouty thing, you know, which and yeah, we're kind of moving beyond that now, I think, and it's happening maybe a bit too slowly, but yeah, I think it's I think we're
and
moving
some men
forward.
are getting it and some are not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's, we got a lot of work to do.
We need more Obamas.
More
Obamas.
Oh yeah. I think it will come, and maybe it's a case of we can't push it. It's got to do its own thing almost.
Got to unfold at its own pace.
Yeah, and you shouldn't push it. It's got to unfold, but
take our responsibility
the
as well.
climate clock is ticking, you know. And, this thing. Just a few COP conferences ago, you know, we've got to stop it reaching 1.5 degrees. You know, increase in temperatures. You know, in the next 50 years, and we're there now.
Yeah,
we're there now in 2025. We're already there. And,
we need to find a way to
stock up your tins, folks.
Yeah.
Get
Get all your tin foods for your cupboards, and I think we need to get the big countries on board, because we're kind of virtue signalling at the moment, aren't we? We've got to get the big nations on board.
Ideally,
and I don't know. Problem is, there's got to be a financial gain, and everybody's in it for the short term, aren't they? That's the problem.
Politics never looks more than 4 or 5 years ahead.
Yeah.
This is
till the next election.
Well, there's a technical challenges as well. So they want us to go to electric cars, but the problem is the national grid hasn't got the capacity at the moment to handle. It's like everyone having 2 showers on in every house. You know, it just won't handle. If you're charging a Tesla overnight, it's 20 kilowatts, and it just won't do it. But
we need hydrogen cars.
We
need people to work where they live.
We
see it all the time. We get stuck in traffic sometimes, and we'll joke about it. We'll say, look at all the people in Swindon who are going back to Devizes where they live, and look at all the people in Devizes going back to Swindon where they live. And you look at the commute in and out of London, it's just crazy.
One driver.
It's not about changing our energy consumption, production. It's about changing our needs. It's about using everything less. We've been spoiled.
Less waste.
We've been spoiled.
Need to go back to corner shops.
We use as small traders whenever we can. We don't mind paying a little bit more. We'd rather support a small business.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Yeah. That's good for everybody, and it'll feed back to the farmers as well. Who'll hopefully get a little bit more income from what they do. I think you'll find. I mean, I'm a bit like that with kind of booksellers as well. I always like to try and use a little local bookshop, ones that kind of haven't been converted, you know. But what do you think of? Are you familiar with the work of Charles Eisenstein? He's another interesting person who's kind of on this scene. So he looks at it also environmental and a very sort of spiritual point of view, and.
Well, to me, environmental and spiritual just go hand in hand. It's the same thing. I don't see how you can really be on a spiritual path for me and not be an environmentalist. That too has a form of
it falls out. One falls out.
Introspective selfishness about it.
You know,
it's not about going up a mountain and sitting cross-legged for 5 years anymore. You know, to change the world. That might do it on a very, 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 very subtle energy level. But no, we've got to be proactive.
I think this is it.
Proactive.
We've got to. Ram Dass said it really well. It's you've got to take the curriculum. What shall I do with my life on this planet? And they said, why don't you try taking the curriculum? I think this was Pat Radagast channeling Emmanuel, but just.
Oh, Emmanuel's just great.
Emmanuel,
So simple.
It's beautifully direct, and I go. I've kind of had doubts with all the channel stuff before, but sometimes if you go by the material alone,
just go by the material. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
where it's coming from.
yeah,
Whether
yeah,
it's from somebody's head, it doesn't matter. Wisdom is working its way through you.
Mm.
So I like in one of the Emmanuel's books, right at the end, it's the last thing he says,
Mm.
and the person interviewing him says, "What's the most important thing needed on this planet right now?"
Mm.
And Emmanuel just says, "You."
Yes, we're the ones we're
And
looking
I
for.
thought
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful. People are trying to get off the planet. They're going up Glastonbury Tor, waiting for the mothership to land.
oh
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
it ain't going to happen.
no,
This is the only planet of choice, as the book says.
mm.
And if
remember
we're going
that
to
book.
go to other dimensions and other planets, that has to be earned.
Yeah,
That has to be earned.
Look after this one before we go and explore other
Yeah.
planets.
Why would we be given permission by the star beings or whoever, whatever you believe in? Why would we even get permission or be able to go to these other realms and these other planets if we buggered this planet up?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. This is being environmentalist and loving the earth is part of man's next evolution to wherever we're going to next.
Yeah.
And we will be going to somewhere next, but the more we fart about, with all this stuff, the longer it's going to take.
yeah, yeah,
So,
mm. Yeah, I agree. We'll do it. We're gonna do it. Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you both ever so much. I really enjoyed that, and
thank you.
Thank you
yeah,
for showing us this
yeah,
place.
yeah.
Tell us
Oh,
about it.
it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Very sacred
And
place.
yeah,
Special.
yeah. Brilliant.